Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour Podcast.
Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 207. Thank you for joining us tonight. Quick plug, we mentioned it last week. We were recently on Reliving Retro talking about Shadowrun on the Genesis and Super NES. The video is out now. Link will be below. Please make sure to check it out. They're a great group of guys. You can hear Brian and I argue for a good hour, so...
And by argue, you mean Jim lost again. But
yeah, details. But yes, speaking of joining us tonight, so we have from the Western Kabuki podcast, we have Whack Nicholson. Whack, how you doing, man?
Jimothy and Brian Anthony, I couldn't be more glad to be here. I so much appreciate the invitation. How are you guys? How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
It's Monday. We got some beer. You know, what are you going to do? How you been, bud?
Good, man. I'm all right. We recently launched the Discord for our podcast, and I have been dipping in there for some of the most insane people who I don't normally interact with on Twitter that have all found each other and invented their own memes within a matter of minutes. Were able to invent their own new memes and their own deep lore, and so I've been exploring that a lot most recently.
That is a dangerous rabbit hole you're going down.
Yeah, dude, I said for years, I was like, I'm not starting a Discord for the page. I'm not putting up with it. It always ends terribly. And then eventually enough people were like, start a Discord. And we finally did. So far, it's all right. Only one or two little troublemakers. But besides that, it's always that thing in the back of my head, like, what am I going to wake up to this day?
It's a fascinating, the app in general, Jim is notoriously the guy who handles social media, internet stuff. Like, he always has to school me on anything new on Twitter. I'm like, Jim, what does this mean? What is this? And then Discord happens, and I fell a little bit more into that just because it is folks that like I tend to know. But man, yeah, I've heard some horror stories. So I hope for your sake it goes a little smoother for you all.
If it doesn't go smoothly, it's so easy for me to not use that app that I could nuke that whole server right now, and literally nothing about my life would change. So, yeah, they better behave themselves. They've been warned.
And actually, Brian, you speak about learning things about the internet, and a good place to do that is on the Western Kabuki podcast. So, Whack, why don't you give a little description of it and plug away?
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like starting with plugs. I think that's a power move. Welcome to my world in which you buy things from me. We are an internet culture media podcast. We're very similar to another podcast that has three other people who discuss media, culture, and podcasts from a leftist perspective, who also has a difficult to pronounce name. But... we are definitely not ripping them off. We talk about like news and stuff this week. Today we are releasing our worst tweets of quarter one of 2023. We went through like 16 tweets of like the most insane people from the first 3 months of 2023, and we ranked them and put them up against each other on a bracket, and then we decided the most insane person of 2023. And guess what? It was not the medical clitoris lady. It was somebody else who got the number one spot. You're looking very.
I see that look on Brian's face. Familiar? He's got that. What's he talking about? Face.
No, well, it's like I'm trying to do it from the. Since my viewpoint of Twitter is so like miles high, I'm like, what would I think is the worst one? And I wonder if it's on my radar.
But you did hear about the medical clitoris lady, the
yes,
cadaver. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
I thought she was a shoo-in. I couldn't even imagine her losing. But then you just kept going down the rabbit hole, and I was like, oh my god, what a year already.
Yeah, it's been really crazy, and we didn't even do any Bud Light transphobia tweets, so we really only scratched the surface. And so we're looking forward to that. Also on our Patreon, we just did like a 3-hour episode about the horrendously toxic culture of family vlogs and family TikTok accounts. Those are some really, really dark situations with some really dangerous people who should not have children. So we did that, and we talked with Jay Aubrey, who's made a bunch of videos on YouTube about those kinds of people. We talked about the Duggars. We talked about the Ace family. We talked about the other families who have had problems.
Is that Daddy 05 or whatever in there?
Okay, yeah, that was the first one Caleb talked about, and then I talked about another one. The Prince family. They were really fucked up too. Yeah, Daddy of Five was like the first one that we talked about, and then I fell on the sword of talking about the non-white ones because I didn't want to put any of my co-hosts in an awkward position, being the token mixed-raced man of the production.
You're like, all right, I guess I'll do that.
Now, wait, speaking of your production, so how did you all meet each other? I mean, were you friends for a long time before? And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
How does this come out?
How did it start, and why is our a podcast art a picture of Nicolas Cage? It's because about this time last year, actually, I posted on Twitter, is there anybody doing a podcast where they listen to or they watch every single Nicolas Cage movie and review them all? And somebody sent me one, and I thought it was okay. We talked about it on the show, like on our first episode. Like, I didn't really hate any of them, but they weren't really like Twitter people. They weren't really for the audience of like people I know online. So I posted it to Twitter. I asked. Caleb reached out to me pretty much like that day and was like, I've been looking for a new podcasting project. I just had sort of a ending of like a music project I was doing. And yeah, and then I was teaching. I teach high school full time, and so I was really busy. So that was around early April, mid-April last year. We just started recording a bunch of them, and just sort of asking the biggest guests we could find to come watch Nicolas Cage movies with us. And so for right now, those episodes are free. But in this past November, Juniper, who was actually our first guest on the show, she reached out and she said that she would want to do like a side project from Western Kabuki, and we were still releasing episodes. It's like November. We're releasing episodes that we had recorded in July. We're talking about like the Queen dying right before the episode that came out at Christmas. So it was like this whole thing of like, it was just not really. It was not a project that Caleb or I were taking seriously. But when Juniper wanted to do it, we sort of like reskinned the whole thing, and we decided to do more of a Chipho clone, as it were, and try to do something a bit more relevant in general. And also we were consciously talking about like Reply All just ended, and they've done a lot of this like internet stuff. And then Alex reached out and he said he wanted to be our producer, Alex from Reply All. So that's sort of how we became a merry little family. And since then it's been a lot of fun. And Juniper came out and visited, and Alex visited my home one evening as well. So it's been really nice to like work with people who want to be really creative. Caleb has some really fucking out there ideas about doing like he wants to watch old presidential debates and do like live reacts to those. Juniper wants to watch the show I Love the 70s. Do you guys remember those shows?
All the VH1s?
Definitely, all the VH1s. Yeah.
So yeah, and I play like a lot of like retro video games and stuff. So I mean, I have like a crazy game room with like 12 different systems in it and stuff, and I've never streamed with any of that stuff. So we all kind of have like things we want to do. So it's really exciting, and we're going to be doing a lot of hopefully pretty weird and funky stuff, including a months-long project Caleb is undertaking to research Chris Chan.
Oh God!
Oh,
I know.
Only a month?
I know.
He's not going to sit through all 80 hours of that documentary or whatever it's up to
No,
now?
he's already done that, and he's found some gaps that he would like to fill in.
There's actual gaps?
There are.
Oh, my God. It was actually funny when you had that episode where Juniper came out. It was funny listening to her talk about, like, yeah, everyone in Philly is way nicer than I was expecting. And I had heard that from another friend who, like, flew in from Reno. And I was like...
I love that is the reputation. I think that the willingness to talk to strangers in Philly is something that people elsewhere don't really see as much. Like people just will like speak to you, and I guess that could be perceived as friendliness, although I don't always perceive it that way.
Yeah, you see, if you're from Philly, someone you don't know talks to you, you're like, what do they want? Get away from me. But yeah, we'll talk to anyone. I've heard that as well. I mean, I said to Jim, as a kid, like the very rare times I wasn't just going to Wildwood on vacations, if I went anywhere else, I'm like, why is everyone like smiling at me? Like, what do they want? Like there was such a I'm like, oh no, I'm the asshole because I'm from Philly and you don't do that when you walk down the street. So yeah. Now wait, I gotta ask. So with the initial drive of the project, what is your favorite Nick Cage film?
Well, my definitely my favorite Nick Cage film is probably it's probably Mandy.
Okay,
but
nice.
I really liked Wicker Man a lot, and I had a lot of feelings about Wicker Man that it was maybe being misrepresented and misfairly treated as being like having this reputation of being like this awful movie. And I watched it and I'm like, this is an absurdist comedy. And then I like found people on YouTube that were like, yeah, I don't know why people thought this was going to be scary, but like the whole time I watched it. And then I watched the original. I saw the Nick Cage version first, and then I watched the original. And I was like, the original's also silly and strange and like over the top. And I don't know. I really like Wicker Man a lot, which we never got to. We actually didn't do either of those movies. We've talked about going back and doing other ones or whatever. We did a 3-hour episode on Moonstruck with Kyle Plant Emoji, who we just never we haven't released it. Sorry, Kyle. I've said it several times on other podcasts, on my own podcast. Sorry, Kyle. It will be available at some point. I know your mom wants to hear it. But of the ones we watched, I definitely liked Pig a lot. I thought that was a really awesome movie. And that was my first time seeing it was on the recording.
Nice. Yeah, 2 weeks ago I actually just saw Renfield with him in it. So
yeah. I went to see that as well. I have a lot of respect for him because that was our initial discussion, was that we didn't really want to go in making fun of it. We wanted to find he's been doing this a long time, and a lot of people have a lot of respect for him, and we wanted to sort of find out why, and we kind of figured it out pretty quickly. And it's a series of phrases he's used himself, such as German Impressionism and Western Kabuki, that he tries to do this sort of heightened version of reality that he wants to display, and that was the thing I always liked. When I realized that Nick Cage is in on the joke about himself, that's kind of like a really fascinating way to conduct one's artistic career. So we were really sort of taken by that, and we have. I've talked about it to death on the early episodes, but I would like to go back and do it. He's a really fascinating sort of character, especially when you watch those straight to DVD movies he did in the mid 2000s. They're very strange, and he's putting his whole ecstasy on the pavement with that one. And I'm excited to go back to his work.
Oh, yeah, you can say a lot of things about him, but you can never say he phones it in. He gives it all to no matter what budget movie gets thrown in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that unabashedly, if he's going to be goofy, he's not going to half-ass it. If he's going to, a perfect example is Willy's Wonderland, a movie that's it's so goofy, and he's silent the entire movie, but he hams it up the right amount, but you can tell he's taking it serious. I love that. I enjoy that movie way more than I probably should. And it's just because he's just goofy enough, but, he is trying to take it serious. And, yeah, you mentioned your favorite being Mandy. That was such a came out of nowhere. I saw it on Shudder. Yep. I was like, what the hell? And then, yeah, I'm loving his, late resurgence. I didn't see that one, the what's the it's a long title. No, that one where everyone memes with that.
Yeah, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah, I didn't see that yet, but I definitely want to, because that is him making fun of himself. So
yeah, that was our first episode. That's the one we did with Juniper.
Okay, so yeah, did it deliver on what you expected or wanted it to?
I liked it as a first movie for the project because it was his most recent movie, and it was one that sort of encapsulated his sort of career. I liked the movie. I thought it was not as fun as it could have been, but I think it's still a it's very clearly a very expensive movie, so I don't think they wanted to do too much like schlocky nonsense in it. But I kind of felt like it suffered for that. But it's still a pretty fun movie.
Nice. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and as Jim said, we do have all the links below. Please make sure, give some love to Western Kabuki, give some love to our Patreon, and follow them on Twitter. And all the links are below, so please make sure you do. But the real question, Whack, tonight, are Jim and I the only degenerates drinking on a Monday night, or are you drinking with us?
I have a delightful strawberry seltzer here, but I am not drinking tonight because I discovered last night the Voodoo Ranger Juice Force Fruit Punch IPA.
Dude, those sneak up on you.
It's I had like 3 sips. I was like, this is frightening. This is not. And I had 3 tall boys of those last night, and then I had to work today, so I was gonna sit it out on Monday. I'm sorry, friends.
No,
I completely understand.
yeah.
I will say that the fruit punch IPA tastes a lot more like fruit punch than booze, and it is 10% alcohol. And it is
those type of they go down
high.
too smooth, and then they kick you in the dick. It comes out of
Yeah.
nowhere, and you're just like, what the hell? So we fully understand. Trust us.
Yeah.
We've been way too
I did
many
an
nights.
extremely sloppy stream about a month ago, and I was drinking those the entire time. I think I killed like 4
Oh,
of those. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could just hear the decline during the course of it.
Oh, Jim, that was pretty magical. But Chambers, how about you? What do you have tonight?
All right, Bri, I'm drinking from the Axe and Arrow Brewing Company their Waffle Cones Cream Ale. So it's brewed with vanilla and brown sugar, and I'm trying to find an ABV over here. But there we go, very detailed waffle cone
What is it
looking
called?
design.
Axe and what?
Axe and Arrow, out of Glassboro, New Jersey.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
6%. So,
Nice.
and it's actually a little bit more subtle than I was expecting, but you definitely get the vanilla coming through in it. But it's a light, easy drinker. That is for damn sure.
And what's it called again?
Nice.
Waffle Cones by Axe and Arrow.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're only days away from starting our no IPA May, so I'm getting in my IPAs now before the month is over, and I'm going with the New Trail Brewing Company's Replenish IPA. So if you listen to the show, watch the show, you know I've talked about New Trail. They're like the hottest brewery the past 2 years as far as just if you go to a bottle shop or can shop anywhere in PA, you're going to see a lot of their cans. And this particular one is interesting because basically with every sale of a case of this, they're donating $1 to get new trees planted. So it's an interesting, like, I do like with their beers, they try to like do some give back and stuff. And it is a pretty solid IPA, comes in at 7.5%. So I similarly had 2 yesterday and in the middle of the afternoon, and it snuck up on me fast. I'll say that. Could be because I didn't eat too much, but they are pretty solid. Fairly, not really, like, it's not a hazy style, so it's not completely blurry. It's a little clear, but it is pretty good if you do like IPA, so I will give them that.
Hell yeah.
Now, Whack, you mentioned you are a retro gamer. You enjoy that. So
Yes.
What have you been playing? What's on the docket when you're not checking out Nick Cage movies and running the show and diving down Discord?
Bashing Sneeko, as you should.
Oh God. I will bash Sneeko until one of us is dead.
Also, real quick, thank you for having an episode where you bashed Andy Reid as well. It's nice to hear like an internet-centric podcast that can still be like in the normie tier too, and actually talk about like sports and the Super Bowl and all that.
Oh, well, yeah, and Juniper really needed a primer. She doesn't know fucking anything about sports at all, so I just had to like run down the whole description of how Philadelphia feels about Andy Reid, why they feel that way.
God,
You
damn
did justice.
But recently I was talking to Jim on Twitter, and I was like, I haven't really taken a ton of time to play any of my old like retro systems, but I have played replayed Breath of the Wild a lot recently, and I have the Switch Online with the N64 stuff, so I've been trying that out and sort of sort of feeling how I like the different ports and everything. I don't know if I can prove it, and I don't think I'm smart enough to, but I think the Super Mario 64 port is different than the one you can buy in the cartridge in the 3-pack. I think they're different games.
Really?
Really?
I think. It might just be because it's an online gameplay thing, but it feels different. But I would say that I was having a lot of issues with those ports, especially the Zelda ones. Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time were like the controls were bad, like difficult to use. It felt like they ported the N64 like controller mapping onto a Switch, which the Switch is like so much more sensitive and has more directions. So it just didn't go at all. They have fixed that, thankfully, and they have fixed a lot of the other like clipping glitches that I know a lot of people were complaining about with the Switch Zelda games. I would say in general, I've played both the Mario parties on there, GoldenEye. I've played Banjo-Kazooie, Super Mario 64. I would say they are all what I would consider to be acceptable. And I think if you're like going to play a Switch port of an N64 game, don't complain about input lag. It is just sort of part of what you're signing up for. But it's a pretty good. I think they're all pretty good. I am pretty happy with them, and I know we had talked about like you guys hadn't tried those out. So I am here to tell your audience that they're not bad. They're pretty good.
You think it's worth the money or splashing the extra $50 down?
I think so. But I don't know. I mean, I also like doing the Genesis games, but I've only been playing Sonic 2 on that, and I can't really speak to that because it's not really. It's been on so many systems that like, what am I gonna say? Play Sonic 2 if you've ever heard of it. But yeah, I think it's worth it. I think it's big value add.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I was gonna say, sorry, Jim, that like with everything, any type of media, so many new generations, their exposure to the N64 catalog may be through this expansion on Switch. So it will be interesting. Like, they'll get so used to the control and everything you're mentioning because, you know, you grew up like us, you played those games on original hardware. It would be interesting to see the inverse. If they try it first on the Switch and they go back and they're like, man, the N64 is messed up for this reason or this reason. Like, what the difference is coming from it from that angle. Because, you know, we're seeing that with everything. Movies, games. It's going to be interesting how they respond if they decide to go back and retroactively collect.
I would really like to see that, especially kids who play like ports of PlayStation games, like PS1 games.
Oh God,
where it didn't have a joystick, and then they go back and play the actual controller, the old controller. Yeah, I do find that really interesting because I teach high school, and like when I talk to the kids, I will ask them like, "What's your favorite movie?" And they'll be like, "The Breakfast Club," and I'm like, "Why? What? Why do you know that movie? How have you seen that movie?" And they're like, "It's on Netflix or whatever." They just like, they see the craziest stuff. But then I was teaching a history of film class, and I was like, I showed them a clip from Wizard of Oz just to talk about like movies in color, and they were like, "What is that movie?" And I was like, "Do you guys want to watch Wizard of Oz?" And like none of them had seen it. They had seen The Great and Powerful Oz, and a lot of them had listened to Wicked, but none of them had seen the original movie because it's never really been on. It's never really been on streaming.
Yeah, so yeah, you catch it on what is it, TMC or like random channels, but yeah, you're not seeing it on like we actually bought it because my daughter loves that movie, so we bought it so she could watch it. But yeah, we had to buy it to stream it on our TV just so she could watch it. So yeah, that is a great example. That's funny though. They would say The Breakfast Club. Yeah.
Oh, I have a kid who loves The Breakfast Club. I have another kid who loves the Beatles. She has like she only wears Beatles shirts. It's very funny to see a black 15-year-old who's just like obsessed with George Harrison.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and then that goes back to like our generation's growing up. Like, you really probably only liked what your friends liked. And then maybe in your teen or later years, you might have liked what your dad or your older siblings or your mom liked from their generation. But that's only because we didn't have the full access. Now, like, yeah, if you have access to music, you have access to all of it. And same with movies and everything. So with games, it's going to be the same situation. If you're playing Switch Online and you have access to all of it, yeah, maybe kids all of a sudden their favorite game is Majora's Mask or GoldenEye again, just because they have access to it. And we would think it's weird, but it's very possible.
Yeah. I will say for the GoldenEye one, I guess I should be fair to any GoldenEye fans. I didn't play it as a kid. I wasn't allowed to play violent video games as a child, so I never played it. And I find the controls completely alien and impossible to use. So I can't really get down with that game, I'm sorry to say.
They were awful back in the day, too. We just loved it. I mean, it's one of those games that age like bad cheese. Like, it doesn't hold up at all. But if you grew up with it, you love it. That pause music, the multiplayer, outside of that, you don't need to play it, let's be honest.
Yeah, I found the campaign inscrutable through the controls and how to navigate everything.
Now, what about you, Chambers? You poor bastard. By the way, I say it every week. You see, we talked about Discord at the beginning, and there's a push now to have a new hashtag, which is Beat It Before Jim.
Win
for
before
Tetris,
Jim, Brian.
Win before
It
Jim.
rhymes better.
For Tetris 99, Jim. You got to just beat this game already.
I just must be too stupid. I don't know what it is. I can't win this goddamn game. I'm like 30 hours in, and I've still never gotten first place.
Oh, 30
just-
hours.
And it just kills me. It fucking kills me. I just want to be done. One time, and I want to throw my Switch out after.
Well, Jim, because of you and Z, because that whatever the event is going on with like the Kirby background.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, I'll play it, and I played like maybe 6 or 7, and I won, and I sent it to you. Jim, you didn't congratulate me. Why didn't you congratulate me?
You're right, Brian. You're goddamn right, I didn't.
Or my 13 KOs. You should have said that was pretty good, Jim.
Yeah, it's a good show, Brian. It's good for you. That's good.
I'm at 8 wins now. I'm almost at my 10 before I can be done.
Before you never played again. Yeah, so now there's a new hashtag going around in the Discord and the Twitter too, called Win Before Jim. So if you want to beat Tetris 99 before me and throw it in my face, have at it. Use the hashtag.
I would have no way of doing that. I am fucking bad at Tetris. I just like to watch the blocks go on top of each other until they fill up the screen.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't win you a lot of Tetris 99, I gotta say.
I don't know. Brian used to say he was bad at Tetris and he's beaten it 8 times and I haven't. So
Jeez.
Well, but here's the thing. I think I was, if I just played a Tetris like the infinite loop, I would kind of get bored of it, and then I eventually would just be like, okay, I'm just tired of playing it. But you know me, if I'm competing, that like sets me off. Where all of a sudden I'm like, oh, now I just have to beat people. And I'm better when I'm under pressure. So, like, all the times I've won, it's been, like, I almost was at the top, and then I just chained together a shit ton of KOs in a row. And then that's usually how I always end up winning. I never win when I have a comfortable lead. So, I don't know. It's one of those, I want you to win, Jim. I told you, I want you to stream it. I want you to just, like, dedicate, tell your wife, say, hey, I'm going to take, like, 5 hours tonight. And I just want to see you just do a marathon playing until you win.
yeah, I'll have to do that one day. But besides that, I started to get back into Body Harvest again because we owe that review. So we're getting through that.
Nice. Yeah,
What about you, bro?
I'm 1 chapter away from beating the Resident Evil 4 remake. So once again, excellent game, but the last act it's rough. It's not my favorite part of Resident Evil 4. I think nobody would say it's their favorite part either. I just beat Krauser. I'm on the island going through and just trying to finish it off, and it's just like the brutal part of the game. But other than that, I still really enjoy the game. This is one I will go back and try to get some of the unlocks, but I think once this is done, I'll be going after the Bionic Commando we have to do.
Yes.
That and I got that random ass Resident Evil first person shooter for PlayStation. The was it Survivor?
Survivor, yeah.
Yeah, I had that from years ago when we went to Too Many Games. So I was like, you know what? I might as well just play that too, just to finish it off. So yeah, that's pretty much all that's been on my docket this week.
All right, not bad.
So, Chambers, before we get to our Patreon questions, I do want to say once again, I know I already briefly mentioned it. I sent out a tweet. More tweets will come out. But if any of you out there want to help participate in our No IPA May, which is just days away, it's very simple. All you have to do is show us a picture of your non-IPA beer. Let us know what you think of it and get creative. It can be the beer. It can be beer with games, toys, like whatever you want to do. Just share it with us on Twitter or on Instagram. As long as you share that hashtag with us, you're in the running for our contest where we give away either shirts or glasses at the end of the month for whoever kind of gets the most votes and everyone enjoys. So feel free, join in. It's a good way to look at beers other than IPAs because that's really all you can get anymore. So celebration of other styles.
Yep, it's always a fun time, and actually, it took off a little bit last year, so hopefully it continues this year, too. But moving on, patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question and we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. Also, quick shout out to Leo, got to meet him this past weekend, super nice guy, so once again, thanks for the support, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep, first up from Kev Called, do you prefer pants or shorts?
Whack. What's your preference?
Surely that answer must depend on the weather, no? Surely there's no preference that doesn't have to do with comfort. I don't understand the question.
I think there are, it's funny. I mean, especially growing up in Philly, you see those we had a buddy.
Well, yeah.
It wouldn't matter. It's winter and he's wearing shorts.
The white guy in the cargo shorts.
Yes.
Or basketball shorts, too.
Mm-hmm.
You see, those are a type of guy.
It's Jim.
It's me. I'm the cargo short guy. I'm the fat guy in the cargo shorts in winter.
I mean, my brother was that way for a long time. I think he's broken the habit, but we pray for his recovery. So I guess, Jim, you're a shorts guy?
I mean, I like it when it's shorts weather again. I wear pants in the winter because it's cold and I have to walk my dog, but yeah, I mean, I prefer shorts, especially I do wear the cargo shorts because it's just convenient. I can't help it.
Damn,
and I'm married. I'm a dad. Who am I impressing? It's over. There's nothing much there to impress even before then, so I am what I am.
Yeah, I'm a simple man. I'm definitely a jeans. Just straight up jeans year round. I mean, here's the deal. I definitely go into, I call my work or basketball shorts. Depend if I'm working out or working outside, it's way too hot. Obviously, I'm going to wear shorts. But like just jeans. I just attribute it to pure kind of laziness. Because for my work, when I do have to go in, I have to wear dress pants or khakis and so I don't want to casually wear those out unless I really have to. Otherwise, jeans are just, they're easy and yeah, I don't have to think much about them if that makes sense. Like they'll go.
So I gotta know, do you have do you have a favorite jean or how are you picky? Do you shop hard? No, really?
Oh no. I am, my wife hates it how non-picky I am. Like I'll have like 2 or 3 pairs of jeans and that'll be my jeans for a couple years. And that's like, I don't have a giant now t-shirts. It drives her crazy because I have ones like still from like high school. She's like, why do you still have this t-shirt? Because I'm like, because who knows? Like this band is cool. Like, it doesn't matter. But yeah, like jeans, like I just get them and I'm notorious. Like I'll get holes in them. And people will think they're like the designer style where they have rips or shit. Yeah. I'm like, no, those were just actually ripped, and I just didn't do nothing about it. I don't know. I just find a comfort in them, and it's probably more like my dad was the same way. It was a jeans all the time, and maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I'm definitely not huge into like pickiness of a certain brand or anything like that. So yeah, jeans is probably my answer. Now, what about you, Wack? So I know you said it depends on the weather, though, but do you have a preference?
I I wear a lot of jeans. And thankfully, the teachers union protects me from having a dress code at work. So
Nice.
I wear a lot of jeans at work and so forth, and that sort of carries a lot of my wardrobe. But if I had my druthers, I'd be in some shorty shorts. I'd let the thighs. I'd let the thighs breathe. I'd have that 5-inch inseam going. But it's the northeastern United States. It's not it's not always
you
gonna
only
be there
get that
you.
for like 5 months, maybe tops.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, our
So that
weather's
explains
not
all the zoo
conducive.
trips. You just want to show off the shorts all the time.
Yeah. Oh, bro, I've been going I was at the zoo today. God damn it. I'm at the zoo all the time. I'm seeing the sloths. I'm seeing the zebras, the giraffes. You guys know about it.
When they put in that big cat house, like 7 years ago.
I only moved here 2 years ago. I'm from I'm not from here.
Oh, where are you from?
Prefer not to say.
Elsewhere.
Okay, I gotcha.
I am
Parts unknown, like
what
The
am I-
Undertaker.
I'm trying to think because I know I've said stuff online. A more rural part of Pennsylvania, more in line with Amish people and farms and so forth.
Fully understand. We know where that is. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
that only
so-
encapsulates a 9-hour drive. I don't think it was going to be downtown.
They got good beer.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the like where I'm from, like I don't even remember what we were saying. I was trying to think of creative ways out of that, but I don't got it. Sorry.
No, we got you. So you're newer to Philly. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I used to come out here a lot, see like concerts and shows. It was the closest place to see like certain bands and stuff I wanted to see in high school and college. So I was out here a lot, but I was never. I moved here 2 years ago.
Gotcha. Okay.
Nice.
All
right,
right,
next
James,
up
what
from-
we got next?
Next up from JD Maines. When will Game Pass value stop being as high as it is relative to its competition, with either increased monthly fees, reduction in game offerings, or a combination of the two?
So, Whack, I know you're more of a retro gamer. Do you have Xbox by any chance?
I don't have the new one. I have the previous one.
Okay.
They're hard to talk about because their names are confusing. But
so you have the
I have an
Xbox
Xbox
One.
One.
Yeah.
I have the Xbox One. That's what I have. And I have a PS4 and I have a Switch and stuff. But I don't have any of the Games Pass or PS Online or anything. But I used to have Xbox Live for a long time, and I thought about re-getting it when they started doing the Games Pass stuff. My guess that the answer to that question would be that it's impossible to answer because we don't have any knowledge of how much it actually costs them to put those games up there for free. Like, how much money are they losing by like giving you access to like Dead Cell or something, or not Dead Space or whatever? You know, it's like, what are they really losing by doing that? I would have to imagine it can't really be all that much.
Yeah.
I mean, the service itself brings in a lot of money, but I know the devs and like actual straight up game sales on the console is taking a big hit. Because through this whole like acquisition with Activision Blizzard and that whole lawsuit that's been going back and forth, I think they did say like how actual game sales are down like crazy on the Xbox platform because everyone just gets Game Pass and they'll play it and then delete the game. So it's weird. It's a weird like kind of balancing act that they're playing right now.
I feel like Microsoft in the gaming space has been on a downward trajectory since the original Xbox came out. That it has been a like slow, steady death for like the Xbox brand over time, and they always feel like in such a precarious position in comparison to Sony and Nintendo.
Well, even when they're winning, they find a way to fuck it up. Because like early in the 360 era, like they were kicking ass, but you know they also had a 50% failure rate. So it was always like, oops, going to buy an Xbox and have it break on me. Mm-hmm. So even then,
and
they
that's just that's just the failures, not the ones that exploded.
Yeah, that's it.
As by the way, I don't know, not enough people. I don't hear enough people talk about this. Every generation of Xbox, including the first one, has exploded upon its initial release. A certain percentage of them have exploded inside the homes of the people that own them.
I like how it's like, what's the percentage? Well, it's more than 0, so that's bad.
Any amount is not good. Yeah. I mean, it is a interesting question. I think what we've noticed is as Wack pointed out, like they haven't won a console war
Ever.
pretty much ever. But what they have excelled at is their online services. And with the Game Pass, to JD's question, is it is so high valued now because no one is competing with exclusives, with AAA day one releases, with just the catalog they offer you for the price point they offer you. Like PlayStation is trying to stop this acquisition of Activision because they know some of these games that PlayStation ponies out for are going to get sent for free. So you kind of go, yeah, like how long is that business model going to really last? But I guess if you look at the pricing models for games in general, it's not going to be the way it used to, which is hard sales, whatever. They're making so much money on microtransactions, which I hate, and DLCs, that does it make more sense to just get more eyeballs to your games, let them play it for free, kind of hook them in, have a license for so many months on Game Pass, and if they really like it, they'll buy it, or keep it on there forever and have a type of game where you can just milk it out of all those DLCs and microtransactions. I think the only way it gets true competition is if PlayStation really ups the ante with showing a lot, or like emulating all their old classics from PlayStation 1 and 2. And they do some of them, but if they really up their catalog, that would be a good competition. But PlayStation's pricing model is actually more expensive than Game Pass, so they would need to lower it. Nintendo, I don't think, will ever be the real threat because Nintendo's Nintendo. Like, for all the good they do, they're also their own worst enemy when it comes to taking care of their customers. So they'll never en masse release all the classics that everybody really wants. They'll slowly trickle out a few games at a time and a whole bunch of obscure ones. So until Microsoft decides to start pricing themselves out of business, I think it's going to remain the dominant one for a while and probably be valued there for at least another generation or two.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a money thing because even the subscriptions are still pretty decent, even when they're not like having slow months and not putting a lot of new stuff on there. So if they increase the price, that's when I think it's really going to start to take a hit.
Yeah, for sure.
But yep, last up from Todd Howard Sucks. Favorite Belgian beer? Mine right now is Le Chouf. Le Chouf? How do you say that, Brian?
Hey, are you doing? Is it the Canadian one with the foil on the beer?
Well, that's left, right?
No, there is a separate Canadian one, but I would have to see how it's spelled.
CHOUFFE?
CHOUFFE. Yeah, Le Chouf sounds right. If it's the one I'm thinking of.
All right.
Favorite Belgium beer? Wack, do you have an answer for that one?
Yeah, the Chimay Doré. Chimay is awesome. The Trappist monk beer from like 1,000 years ago. But the Chimay Gold, it's wonderful. Although I like a lot of the American Belgian styles. Like I really like Golden Monkey and some of its iterations, some not so much. But I love Belgians. But like of the Belgians from Belgium, I would definitely say Chimay Gold.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with one from Belgium as well, and go with the Saint Bernardus. ABT 12, I believe it is. I got a whole Christmas pack of a couple of them, but man, we talked about dangerous ones that sneak up on you at like 10 to 12%, and it tastes like spices and fruits and just it's so flavorful. It definitely has a little bit of booziness, but still goes down like an easy beer. Belgians, man, their beers, if you get good ones, they are excellent. So straight from Belgium, I'll go with that one because that's a quad and that's a flavor profile onto itself.
I really love that one actually. Or no, not I love that brewery. I've had a different Saint Bernardus. I'm looking at the picture here, the Abbott 12, and I haven't had this one specifically, but it's got a really beautiful, like really, really, really dark, still like amber color to it. It looks great.
Yeah, like I said, I've yet to have a bad one from them. And it's one of those ones where I go, why don't I buy more? And then I'm like, oh yeah, they're rare to find and they tend to be a little expensive. So, but yeah, no, it's a great beer. And I also know that's one where you sip on one throughout the night. You're not going through a couple. So yeah, you really got to take your time with it.
Yeah, maybe Duvel I'd go with for like the ones that are actually like from Belgium, because yeah, I haven't had a ton, to be honest with you, over the years, but anytime I've ever had them, I've really enjoyed them. You got like a nice little full mouthfeel and body flavor to them, so it's a solid beer. Like I was gonna be like, maybe like Hogarth or something like that, but I want to be a little bit more fancy, so I can go with the Duvels.
I mean, if you want to be fancy, you can always go Delirium. I mean,
oh yeah, with their clay bottles,
the
clay-looking bottles.
Yeah, with the pink elephant on it.
Yeah,
that are $50 for a 4-pack or whatever it is.
They're expensive as hell, so you're getting one big bottle for probably $20 or whatever it is. But yeah, they're damn good too.
One I do want to shout out for Belgians because it is my actual favorite kind of beer, which I didn't tell you guys beforehand. But the other one I really love, which is it is okay. So the hops come from Europe, but it is brewed in Quebec. La Fin du Monde. Have you guys ever had that?
Yeah,
I've not had that.
That's the one with it usually has the very foily top, and it's got the maple leaf or something. Yep. Yeah.
I think it's France. I think it's a picture or some type of land or something.
Yes.
It's hard to tell what the picture is. But yeah, it's 9%. It's got like a lighter color than some of the other Belgians. Like a less opaque than some of the other ones do. But it's great. It's a little on the lighter side as far as some of those other Belgians go. I mean, 9% is on the lighter side for some of those beers. So, yeah, it is. It's great though, and I know there's a lot of places in Philly that serve it. So,
yeah, that was. I think it was actually last year during No IPA May. I got my first bottle of it, and
nice.
I was like, "Oh, this is good." And some of our buddies from Canada were like, "Why are you drinking our beer?" Giving me hell, but I was like, "Yeah, this is pretty damn delicious." So,
yeah,
no, that's a great call. I like that beer a lot.
Yep, so that wraps up the Patreon questions for this week. So once again, thank you to everyone for the support. Head over to Patreon, check out the tiers to get game review requests, movie review requests, bonus episodes, and all that good stuff. And wherever you're listening, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, make sure to hit up all the other platforms. Give us reviews on there, follow us on there. Really helps out the page.
No, thank you guys. Truly appreciate it. All right, Chambers. So I know we just ended on a good beer conversation, but to keep it going and semi-local to us, based in New Jersey, big news. Something I would have never expected, but coming out of Cape May Brewery, they are purchasing Flying Fish. And once again, if you're a fan of this podcast, we've talked Flying Fish. Never really impressed Jim and I, but they were the largest brewery in New Jersey until now. And Cape May is kind of newer. They started in 2011. Flying Fish has been around since 95. And in this announcement, they're basically saying they're excited to acquire the assets of Flying Fish. I don't know if that technically means, like in the article that comes to us from CapeMayBrewery.com, I don't know if they'll still have a line that's called Flying Fish or if they will just absorb it all and then hand over all their beers, but kind of a big ass move. I don't know. I mean, Whack, have you had beers from either of these, and is this like news to you as well?
I was pretty shocked. Yeah, Jim told me earlier. I had assumed that Cape May was a lot smaller than Flying Fish.
Yeah,
same.
And I had also assumed that, actually, funny because I mentioned Chipho twice now. They just had a beverage journalist on to talk about some of the shakeups in the beverage industry, and he talked about like the CEO of Bang Energy, and he talked about a few other things, but he basically said that a lot of these like craft beer microbreweries are on the crest down. Nobody's going to become the next Goose Island. Nobody's going to become the next Dogfish or anything like those. That is done with. And so I was surprised to hear this like 3 days after that podcast dropped. That's like two large breweries in a big beer drinking area of the country combined. My guess would be, here's the thing. I was going to say no, I've never had anything by Flying Fish, but I actually drank pretty much only Flying Fish last summer, and I didn't even know it because their branding is so weak. Because their little fish logo is so unremarkable. But yeah, there are variety packs with the XPA, Hazy Bones. Those two specifically, I was drinking a lot of that last summer. I will probably be drinking more of that this summer. Especially the Hazy Bones. I like the Hazy Bones a lot. And yeah, Cape May, I have had some of their beers. Like one of my friends who's like a big beer person, it's her favorite brewery, and I had her favorite beer from it. I don't remember what it was, and I liked it, but I went to the Cape May brewery like 2 years ago. And I didn't really. I liked their seltzers better than their beer. So
really,
yeah. But that was like 2 years ago. Was like at the start of this whole seltzer craze, and theirs were all like they hadn't filtered the dyes out, so they were like pink. They tasted just like White Claw. Yeah. They taste just like White Claw or whatever. But yeah, they're I don't know. They're pretty good. I don't have any ill will. I think their branding is a lot stronger as far as like the way their logo looks and the way their beers sort of have branding cohesion to them. I think their branding is a lot stronger than Flying Fish. And so that maybe is where Flying Fish was suffering, is that if you're looking at a cooler full of different beers, like nothing about it stands out. If you see a case of like their Hazy Bones next to a case of their Salt and Salt and Sea, they don't even look like they come from the same place. Like you would not even like associate with them one another at all.
So it's funny you mentioned that. So we used to run a lot of like weekly brackets for best beer in Philly, best beer in Jersey.
Yeah.
When we ran that, it was hilarious because Cape May actually reached out to us. They're like, hey, that logo you're using, it's a little outdated. We got a new one. Would you mind using this one? And sent us like professional, like updated logos. Like they were so involved with our, like a little ass group like us on Twitter to be reaching out. I'm like, oh, they're really in the weeds. Whereas like other breweries would like kind of retweet, say like, oh, that's cool. But you could tell they had their finger on the pulse. So they clearly had a media team that was like really in tune. But to your point, I mean, yeah, you look at the cans. Cape May cans are undeniable. They're definitely much smaller. And Flying Fish, even though I said a lot of their stuff was unremarkable to me, one of the strongest beers I've had recently, the Blueberry Braggot, which was a honey ale with blueberries, it's 15%. And that thing drinks like candy. And it's like such a random ass style that nobody does. That I was like, oh, this is really good. But
yo, that's crazy because I had this like years ago.
Yep.
And you just said it, and I was like, I had this really good blueberry beer this one time. Yeah, it's the same one, but their branding is dog shit. Like you do not.
Yeah.
Like...
You look at that bottle, and literally all it is text. Whereas there are other ones like they'll maybe have a different time design. It's like whoever designs their stuff did not think of cohesion or like. Yeah, trying to keep a brand or whatever it is. But I'm still amazed because Flying Fish is the largest in New Jersey. So I would have thought it would be the inverse, like Flying Fish buys Cape May. But Cape May's been on a hot streak. Anyone who goes there, they talk about it. I even compared their like untapped numbers, and Cape May is definitely rated higher, but Flying Fish still has more ratings. So it's very interesting. I wish they would have said how much this purchase is for because, to your point, we've seen a lot of breweries either get absorbed by the really big like InBevs of the world or they become collaborations. But this is just a straight-up acquisition, so I don't know. I would love to know the details. I'm sure they will get leaked eventually, but this happened as of today on April 24th, so... It's one of the rare times news actually drops the night we record.
It's always a Tuesday. It's never Monday, so thank God. But yeah, to your point, like anytime like I'm grabbing a random thing off the shelf and it's like, oh, it's I didn't even realize it's Flying Fish half the time. I'm like, oh, it's Dogfish Head, or maybe it's like Flying Dog, or one of these other ones with like more, the ones that stick out in your head more. But like Brian said, like they're fine. They're a fine brewery. And Cape May's pretty good too. So. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a strong brand, especially in the area. But holy shit. And actually, Whack, to your point, Cape May's friggin' hard lemonade. is delectable. It's so goddamn good.
Yeah,
So, like,
they're like those. I don't. What do we call them? Those fruity malts beverages or whatever. They're seltzers. They're hard lemonade and stuff. All that stuff is really good.
and they even have their like slushy drinks when you're on site, and like those are always pretty good too. And those are
Oh,
like,
I can't drink that stuff. I didn't even try it.
I mean, they're good. I mean, if you like 10 pounds of sugar, but yeah,
I
they're
can't
tasty
do
too.
that.
Wait, Wax, since I know you've only been in Philly for 2 weeks, have you gone to South Street and went to Fat Tuesdays?
2 years.
2 years, that's right. Yeah. But have you gone down to Fat Tuesdays and gotten some of those slushies?
Again, I've been to Fat Tuesdays.
Okay.
I really can't drink those things. I really can't. Every single time I've tried it, I'm just not really jived with it.
Doesn't end well.
It's only 7,000% alcohol, so I don't know what your problem is, Brian.
Oh, I love. I mean, you talk about you want to tie one on for the night. You start there, get maybe one or two, and you're good for quite a while.
Oh yeah, but actually,
Yeah.
speaking of drinking for quite a while, so baseball has recently implemented, famously, a lot of new rules this season,
Thank God.
and all of we can actually get into that because I know Wack had some strong opinions on that. But yes, now
Yeah.
we have pitch clocks, we have balk rules, we have only so many times you can throw to the base, you can't do infield shifts anymore, all kinds of craziness. But the pitch clock is definitely probably the most divisive of them because it is really speeding up the games. And with sped up games, that could potentially mean less beer sales during the course of a game. So a bunch of teams are starting to implement selling. Like traditionally, most teams would stop by the 7th inning stretch, but now a lot of teams are starting to work their way into going into the 8th and even 9th innings, depending on where you're at. So Wack, first off with you, man, you are not a
Yes.
fan of the pitch clock, are you?
No, I love the pitch clock.
You are? I thought you said you hated it. Did completely
No, I
misread
got
that.
no. Caleb said he hated it.
Oh,
Yeah, he said he wasn't a fan. I love the pitch clock. I think it's a great idea. I went to the Phillies game Saturday, when they played the Rockies. And yeah, I loved it. We were like watching. I was like, damn, it's already the 3rd inning. They're really like cooking over there. It was. I mean, I really enjoyed it a lot. And for my sins, I deeply apologize. I am not a lifelong Phillies fan, but I do go to a lot of the games because I live down here. But like I've been watching a lot of my team's games, the Yankees, and I've really enjoyed a lot of the pacing around that.
and
I saw the
and call-
reactions. I saw the reactions. I apologize, but it's the truth.
Nah, it's all good. Really, with Philly teams, if you're like 30 miles outside of Philly, no one likes Philly teams. So
There's a lot of
yeah, I
people
mean,
in Philly who don't like Phillies teams. Who are you kidding?
I grew up my early life in southern Connecticut, so I'm a Yankees fan. My brother's a Mets fan, and yeah. But then when I moved down here to the Philly area, even like where I grew up, people were like, the 2009 World Series. Somebody from my high school at a different college gave out my phone number to a bunch of people, and I got like all these calls like harassing me and stuff. It was
Naturally.
nuts. Yeah, naturally.
Jim,
you're just sitting there going, "Well, sucks to win, doesn't it?"
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, it would have been like it would have been such an ordeal.
Wait, was
like
it just
a
after Game 1 when they were all shit talking you, and then after that it just all went downhill for the
Game 1
Phillies?
and Game 3? Game 1 and Game 3, and yeah, it was like I think the Yankees won Game 3. I think it went to extra innings. I know that there was like I'd have to look at it again, but there was a lot of animosity directed my direction in October of 2009.
I'm sure.
But the pitch clock, I like. It's just really nice for a sense of urgency in baseball. As far as the base running or the base, tagging rules, base throwing rules, whatever you want to call it. I didn't notice a dramatic change in the way the game was played. I haven't really seen it. Obviously, there have been some highlights and some weird things that have happened, pitch clock violations that maybe shouldn't have been called and things like that. But I don't know. As far as changes, these huge changes, like anytime the NFL has done like any changes, it dramatically shifts the game. And I just haven't really seen it in the same way. But I guess we have to get deeper into the season, deeper into pitching rotations, deeper into lineup changes and see. But so far I haven't seen it really affect it.
Yeah, I haven't been as huge in it. Well, I'll be honest with you. Phillies have sucked for so long that I kind of fell off baseball for a little bit. I can be a bit of a front runner when it comes to it, but like I just think about like the days of like the Prince Fielders and Ryan Howards and thinking, man, if they didn't have infield shifts back then, they would have both been hitting like 400 every goddamn season. Those poor guys got robbed. But
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know. I think that all of these like rule changes, the designated hitter being added to the National League, and all these different things that have happened in the past 15 years or so to the MLB, it's been like very. I think it's been a net positive for the most part, especially when you compare it to rule changes in the NFL and the NBA, like the NBA adding like advertisements to their jerseys and the NFL pushing the kicking receiving line back and all those things that have really colored the game in such a dramatic fashion. I just haven't seen it out of the MLB yet.
yeah, no, I agree. It still might be a little bit too new, but man, do I like a 3-hour game. Oh my God, is it a breath of fresh air.
Yes, 100%.
Now I got to see with this drinking rule if it's just going to cause people to start drinking more or faster during the course of the thing, or if they just go, oh, well, here, sign a lease. If you drink until the 8th, that's on you.
I mean, if they're worried about drink sales, stop making your goddamn crappy ass beers $12 and even up. Like reduce
$12,
it.
Brian, what is this? 2010?
Reduce it by $5 and you'll sell triple the amount of beer. People are like, yeah, they're buying it because the games were longer and you don't got anything else to do. But what was Philly's rule? Like, what inning would they stop selling?
Seventh.
So here's the deal. I get, and that's actually like, hey, that's a responsible rule. But I love they're like trying to make up for it now. Now they only mention 4 teams: Arizona, Texas, Minnesota, and Milwaukee have extended the sales through the 8th inning. And that Miami and New York still stop selling after a 7th, but they're saying they may switch. It's like, boo-hoo. You're selling beer that people could buy for pennies on the dollar for an outrageous amount. You reduce it a little bit, your sales will go up. So this is one of those deals. And Jim, to already answer your question, if you're going to the game to get really fucked up, you're either going to pregame a little harder now at the beginning, or you're just now going to triple down when you buy your beers in the first or second or third innings. That's all that's going to happen. But
if you don't tailgate, you're fucking up anyway. So
yeah, well,
you have to keep it to like 2 to 3 beers tops while you're there, unless you want to spend $200.
Right.
But that's what some people I think go there. Like anyone who like has an issue with the pitch clock, it has to be just because you just want to spend the entire day there. Like that was one of my most notorious issue always with baseball, is boring as tears, goes on way too long. Anything to speed it up, awesome. Like, so I don't know. I think that's a very easy rule, and I think beer sales will be just fine. I think if you really want to drink, you're gonna, you know what? As Jeff Goldblum says, life finds a way. You will figure this shit out, and you'll buy more. That's all I'll say.
Agreed. All right. Next up, so we talked about Game Pass for a little bit earlier, but going back to it, one lucky fan, there is a giveaway by Microsoft, and he won Game Pass lifetime membership to it, and he had to turn it down for a very specific reason. So it is April 24th right now, so we are past the tax deadline. And oh boy, do you have to read the red tape on these giveaways. So basically, he said that he would have had $7,300 of added taxable income to his 2023 taxes as a result. So, his taxes would have gone up by 24%, and then there's also state taxes, and basically they like front load, they consider for life 40 years, so they basically front load it to you right away. So that becomes your value, and you can't even trade it in for cash or anything.
Dude, I'm sorry, but talk about somebody. Now, this guy, very smart, has to be a CPA or something, because talk about sucking the fun out of something. And I love the comments all below. They're like, wow, like I would have never read that, but, that's cool. Like, yeah, he brings up a good point. He basically calculates out, like, had I just purchase Xbox for this long, and I don't want to have to owe an extra $1,752 in my next round of taxes. I would, you know what? I'll admit, maybe because I'm dumb, I would have never, if I won a contest like this, I would not think to file this in my taxes as a thing, as like a value-based thing. I don't know. Like, something about this just read like, just take the prize and enjoy your life, man. Like, he must be throw at parties. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So I don't understand. I guess like what if he hadn't said anything? What if he had just taken it? Would he
exactly?
What like because I mean, I've not been always this proud and successful billionaire podcaster you see before you today.
Same here, obviously.
And we had some issues with the IRS and stuff. The IRS is fucking flexible as hell. Like, I don't know, like, they've always been so easy to work with, and like tax issues we've had in the past and extensions and payment plans and things. I am surprised that you wouldn't just try your luck with the IRS, because they're usually pretty chill if you're upfront with them.
Yeah. And this is not it's different if Xbox said this is a cash prize to, like, we're giving you the cash to, here's $7,300. Completely different. They're giving you access to their Xbox Live, the Game Pass for life. It's not something you'd have to necessarily report out the same way you don't have to report out when you put out your money for it. So that's where I go, this guy, I think, just thought way too much about this. Like, he calculated out the value, figured out that he may need to report it as earnings, and then would have to pay on top of it. But it's not an earning, because you can't turn it in for cash value. So I'm like, that's where you out-nerd it yourself so hard.
Does this guy put on a condom before he gets in a car just in case? Like,
absolutely.
What in the world?
He double wraps. He just like you said, sucks the fun out of anything. He's not one of those friends you can be like, let me throw a hypothetical at you. He can't do that. You'd be like, no. Let me analyze this. I read this and I just went, wow, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know, Jim. You looked skeptical, like like you agree with him almost.
Not that I agree with him. Like, I guess it's good that he figured this out, but I'm kind of like you. I'd have been like, oh, fucking sweet, Xbox Game Pass for life. Look at me never having to pay for this again. I would have never have even thought to do anything with taxes or anything like that. I almost wonder if he's like won giveaways before where he got boned and he's like, not this time, and had to look into it, or if he's just a nerd like you guys are saying. I don't know. It's weird. It's the last thing I would have ever thought of.
He'd be the type to go to the casino and be like, I can only put this much down because if I earn more than this much per year in gambling, I need to report it. Like, you're winning Game Pass. You're not getting cash. You're not doing something that you would actually report out.
Is sweepstakes winning the same as like gambling winnings? It's not, right? You don't
know because it's not a cash valued thing. And even like if you consider a gift, gifts have different rules, and at a minimum, a company or a person can gift you up to $16,000 a year without you needing to report it. Because I dived into tax shit myself because I do it myself, and that's why when he said the total value over 40 years. Makes no sense how he got to this point that he felt he had to turn it down. So he's a classic overthinker. That's a buzzkill. That's all I'll say.
He should have called a CPA, and the CPA would have would have thought of all of the insane things that people drop at his door and have been like, hey, bro, why don't you fucking pop half a Klonopin and see how you feel in the morning?
A CPA would have laughed him out of the door. At one of my old jobs, my buddy's dad was a CPA, and he's like, if you, instead of just claiming 0 or 1 as independent, if you claim like 13 dependents, then you don't owe anything at the end. I was like, I don't want to do that. I was like, I'm sure your math is right. I said, but I'm good. I don't want to fuck around with that. CPAs,
I'm just gonna tell the truth to the government.
Yeah, and but CPAs, if somebody brought this to them, they're like, "Wait, you what?" Get the fuck out of here. It's a video game that's not reported to the IRS? What?
It's like knowing a friend who doesn't ever go to casinos or anything, and they're like, I lost $15 at a blackjack table. And then like the dealer is like, I watched a man 2 hours ago lose $15,000 and then just move to a different table. Like you are not.
Oh man, there is nothing like a good 2 a.m. AC trip, and you're at some random table and you see a guy with just stacks of chips and he's betting thousands. Where I'm like, $20 on black, like, and he's just losing left and right. You're like,
he's choking back tears the whole time. I used to work at a casino, and do you know what happens? You know what happens when people win jackpots at slot machines?
They spend it all.
They get fucking pissed off, and I'll tell you why. Because the people who win the jackpots are the degenerates. They are the people who are there all the time, all day. Jackpot minimum is $1,600, and a $1,600 jackpot is bullshit, and they get pissed off. I watched a regular at that casino with a $50,000 mark, which means she has a $50,000 line of credit through the casino, which means that was just our casino. There are other casinos in the area, and she had a maxed out mark with us, and like she won $20,000 one night, and was like, about time. Like, not even happy, just like no.
fuck.
They're like they break even on happiness. They like even if you're gambling, like even if gambling is a totally emotional thing, they are just like barely breaking even on enjoying it.
Well, is this going to be like Jim when you win Tetris 99 finally?
Yeah, it's like anything else I ever win. I never enjoy it because it's like it's just a finally. Right? This is my gambling here. I'm the guy. Me with Tetris. I'm that guy at the blackjack table who blows $1,500, goes back to the ATM and blows another paycheck, and just goes through that vicious cycle.
Jim,
this is my life.
Jim, you know what's funny is I could see you being overly cautious if you won this and then kind of taking the fun out of it too now.
I'd find a way. I would probably find a way to screw it up.
And then I would be like, Jim, you know you didn't have to do that. You'd be like, what? Fuck.
Oh, no. Can I get it back? No. Shit.
Yeah. But, Chambers, you threw something up here, which is interesting. It's a weird, we call it gaming item, but really it's a drinking item. The Drinks Buddy by Garlow. And I've seen these things here and there. I think it was on one of those shows, Shark Tank or whatever. But the device, and I'll have the video going as we talk, it basically takes the top off of any aluminum can. So soda, beer, seltzers, whatever you drink, you attach it, it spins it off. Now, I noticed right away everyone in the comments was like, cool, something that's going to slice your mouth open. I will say, the way cans are designed, those tops actually do screw off a very specific way, so you're not left with like sharp metal. But I still think this is a very silly thing, but I don't know. What about you two? Whack, what do you think? Is this a device?
I would love to weigh in on this. This dumbass device meets the world to me. I have one.
This is how I saw this actually from a Whack tweet.
I don't have the Go Drinks Buddy, which is different than the Drinks Buddy, which is like a Keurig machine for making cocktails. This is the Go Drink Buddy. No, not the Go Drink Buddy. The Go Drinks Buddy. Jesus Christ. Okay, so there's all of these. Mine's called the Draft Top, but they're all sort of the same thing. It's a can opener, and it can open up your aluminum like beer cans or whatever. It rocks. I will say. I don't fully know how it works, and by that I mean like I will take it out of the drawer and open up one beer with it perfectly fine. It grips it correctly, it lines up correctly, and it pulls the thing off perfectly fine. And then the very next one I will do, it will be completely impossible. And then I won't be able to use it the rest of the night. And then I'll try it the next day, and it'll work fine. It's like, I don't know why. I don't know if it's me. I've watched videos of people say the same thing. I don't know if I got the Go Drinks Buddy, if I would feel different about it versus the Draft Top that I have now. but they look exactly the same. The thing I have and what this thing is, and I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun, and I really like it a lot. But there is like a learning curve to it. So if you're gonna buy one, I would say first and foremost, you want to make sure all 4 of the little slicer things are on the surface of the can, and then you want to press directly downward on the top of the can. And surely you guys know this, but do not do it with an already opened can.
I'm sure it would have some issues.
There's surface tension. You will just rip that can completely apart. But yeah, you have to be like quick with it. You have to hold it really tightly, and you have to press down on it from the top without holding the can with your other hand. It's a very awkward thing to do, and it takes some learning.
Is it worth it? Is it worth all that effort to just not go?
No, I mean generally not. But it's a fun little device, and it is cool that like there is a sort of like kick out of like the environmentalism of it. If you're switching from beer to cocktails and you have an open beer, you don't have to get a cup out. You can just use the open beer. That's something I like that about it.
Yeah.
I think there are benefits to it. I think it is really funky to have the unopened top of a can. I think just by itself is also fun. But yeah, it's a dumbass thing. I've tweeted about it a lot before, actually, because I'm like, this thing is so stupid and it makes me so happy to just peel the top off of a can.
Have you seen a type of can like from a brewery that works better than others? Have you had more success with one, or is it just luck of the draw?
Tall boys work better. Like 16-ounce beers work better. I don't know why. But sometimes they work a lot worse. Like I said, the thing's inconsistent, and I don't know. I have found that like a Miller Lite, Bud Light, like 16-ounce can is the easiest one to do it. But I don't buy a lot of like. If I'm buying canned beer, it's just going to be like Natty or Miller Lite or whatever. It's not going to be like. I'll usually get bottles for nicer beer, I don't know.
Well, so that's where. Okay, so the complete engineering nerd in me comes out is if you open this up and you are even drinking a beer, my thinking is one, when I think of opening up cans of beers, like you're out, shit's going to probably fall in your beer a little easier. It may lose its temperature a lot faster because now you've increased the surface area a lot more. I think of things like that. I'm like, how much warmer does your beer get? How much shit falls into it? I think of other drinks that maybe it's more interesting. Like in the video we're showing, like they put like ice cubes and things in there. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Like if you have a soda or something and you want to put ice cubes in it, that could be cool. But to you and Jim's point, it sounds like it's a lot of effort. It's kind of a almost like a party trick. It's not something you're always going to go somewhere with. And I really actually like that idea. Like if you go to a kegger or something and instead of passing around, a shit ton of red Solo cups, you'd be like, just keep your can and fill with that. That interests me. That I do like that aspect of it. But yeah, like it's a very goofy idea that I just look at like, man, they just figure out a way to like, we're going to do something for any device out there, figure out a more crazy way and more effort to open it. And this probably sold for a ton of money. And you're just like, what the fuck? I don't know. It's a goofy one. Jim, this is some shit I know you would buy or your wife would buy.
No, actually, no, because around the turn of the 2000s, I want to say, I think Mountain Dew was coming out with cans that like popped off the entire top, just like this does, only without needing a cut-in device. So I forget what soda it was, but they were doing some gimmick for a little while. And I remember fucking hating it. It just seems so unruly trying to drink out of a can like that. And I know with my dumb sloppy ass, like I'd be at a thing getting drunk and pop off the entire goddamn thing and wind up spilling the whole beer on myself. So,
and also like being extremely beer nerdy, part of the deal, the way the beer is carbonated, like part of opening it up helps with the way the carbonation works. I don't know if popping that off, you're getting that same release of carbonation. If you release too much at once, you actually
It doesn't because of the way the thing works. As you like turn it around, you still get that initial pop. And so
Okay,
it
so
still
it
gets
doesn't
the
release
sound.
too much.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't do it all at once. I just put a link to the Draft Top 2.0 in the little chat here because they have perfected the design of the Draft Top, and it makes me want to purchase it. Because the problem was it was too hard to squeeze, but if you can squeeze from both ends, and it only has one of those little blade things instead of four of them, so it just needs to do a 360. You're not like guessing when you've done the 360, which is also a problem with it because it's got four of those blade things, so you don't know when you've turned it far enough to take the whole top off. That was another issue with it. So this
That's
actually,
interesting. Yeah, that almost
this
looks
thing
like a
is very
cigar
interesting.
cutter or something.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
But $25 is a lot. For
That's a
something
lot.
so stupid.
That's a lot
For a
for
gimmick,
doing
yeah.
something that I'm like, okay. No, like I said, it's something. There's clearly a market out there for it. I don't know. It's the same way I feel about beer koozies. I know, Jim, your wife
My wife
has
is obsessed.
a gazillion of those.
1,000 of those. Yep.
I don't know, other than if I've been on a beach, I don't know if I've ever actually used one or if somebody hands it to me with them. And I get it works, but there is something about just cracking open the top of a beer and just going into it. I don't know. Like, I feel like with that drink whack, have you tried it on all types of drinks, or has it just been alcoholic drinks? Like, will you do it with sodas or like?
I've done it with sodas.
Okay.
It worked fine. They are differently carbonated, so they're not always like friendly with it. But I mean, the thing's hard to use anyway, and like 20% of the time I can't use it at all. So it's like 20% of the time, 60% of the time I can't use it at all. So I think that I don't know. I've used it for other things. It's just fun if you're having people over.
Yeah.
Crack everybody's first beer with one of those things. It's fun.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm curious to see. I thought the whole total top of the can opening up, like Jim was referencing, was going to take off. And then it felt like it kind of died on the vine. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what follows with this. I'm sure
knows,
somebody
Mike?
will come up with more interesting shit, like the shotgun device, Jim, which I am going to buy, and we have to talk about. Have you guys seen that? So it basically,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Instead of like
Yes.
having the people that can't use a key like Jim when you try and shotgun a beer, it's literally a claw device that like it digs into the beer and it like makes it a perfect spout for you to drink out of. So when you shotgun, it's like a perfect claw in there. It's sealed. When you open it up, it's a perfect pour from a shotgun standpoint.
There are ones now though that are 3D printed like that, and you cock them like a shotgun to put the tab
awesome.
in the side of it.
Now that I want.
Well, fuck, now I know what I have to buy. Like, we have to buy all these goofy beer things and try them out.
Have you guys heard of the podcast Your Kickstarter Sucks?
No.
No.
No? Oh, it rocks. I love this show. I listen to it a lot, and my producer's friends with their producer, and they're good guys. And yeah, they did an episode. They do 6 really stupid Kickstarters, and they did the Draft Top. That's how I first heard about it, and then I bought one. And they did this shotgun thing that the original prototype of it looked crappy, but I do know that they've been trying to perfect like basically something that looks like a shotgun that you like rack like a shotgun, and then it punches open the side of a beer can.
All I
that
can think
sounds
is,
so fun.
especially because of my shirt, is the It's Always Sunny. The shotgun where they do that, where they try and shoot alcohol into each other's mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Jim, you know we're going to start buying some of this goofy shit.
Oh, yeah. Time to dip in those Patreon funds.
Yeah.
For the good of the show, obviously.
Not just for our own drinking. Of course not. But Chambers, speaking of goofy things that have been going on, Twitter's always been an interesting place. But the past few months with all the changes, Jim, are we still a blue check mark for now? I know you gave up paying for it, but...
Yeah, what do you call it? That goes away in early May for us.
Okay. So Twitter announced new API pricing, and it has issues for smaller folks, but one of the bigger folks, being Microsoft, has disabled the use of Twitter sharing from Xbox. And this includes Now, you can technically have a workaround if you have their app from their Xbox app on Android or iOS. But basically, you can't share anymore to Twitter directly from the game bar or on Windows. So, yeah, they're kind of taking shots at them. And their reasoning is they would be getting charged approximately $42,000 per month based on the way the API pricing structure is for Twitter. So
now, to Microsoft's credit, they didn't actually say it was because of the price
They
increase.
did not
It just
say
happened at the same time, and everyone put two and two together.
I mean, some could say where there's smoke, there's fire, but it's a hell of a bit of timing. I'll say that.
And of course, Wax's favorite person, Elon Musk, he saw this reply and he went lawsuit time in typical Elon fashion.
Elon's been doing a lot of really creative things with Twitter recently that I really appreciate. I didn't know you could fuck up anything as badly as he's done this. And yeah, like NPR refusing to post on there anymore, and all these other like big journalists, like another public, like PBS or somebody, is refusing to post on Twitter because they were called state affiliated media, and it's like it's really wild how he doesn't appear to be speaking to anybody before he makes any of these decisions at all, and like so many websites have very, very, very cheap API access or free for the most part, and the fact that he is like paywalling it is so funny. It is like the most broke ass thing I could ever imagine is the way he has like netted these blue checks and the benefits that come with it into these different payment tiers and structures, and these guys are like now bragging that they're paying for it, and it's like, bro, you've got your mental all backwards if you're bragging about paying for something that I'm not paying for. I don't get it, man. And yeah, it's just been a really funny like development as these other companies are sort of treating him like a leper because he is fucking up all their money.
Well, here's what's interesting. The three tiers, the way they're outlined in this article, and this is on The Verge. Or no, it's from Polygon, but it makes references to The Verge, which outlines the payment structure. So for free, you have write-only access with the ability to post 1,500 tweets per month at no cost. The basic is $100 per month. For hobbyists, with the option of posting 3,000 tweets per month at the user level or 50,000 tweets per month at the app level. The read limit is 10,000 tweets. And then enterprise is commercial level access that meets you and your customers' specific needs, as well as managed services from a dedicated account team. No specific price was listed, but according to other sources, it's going to be as high as $42,000 per month, which is how Microsoft got to this. It's going to cost us $42,000 per month. Well, once again, Microsoft didn't say that, but I don't know what any of that shit means. When I read that, I went, I look at Microsoft now and they post once a day, and I'm like 15,000 tweets per month at no cost. I'm like, why do you need more than that? But like, I don't know. Like,
would they require API access in order for people to publish from their Xboxes on?
That's what my guess is that if anyone posts from their apps, then that's why they would need it. That would count towards that total number. So
it feels like and I know, Brian, you said you're not on Twitter very much, but this feels like a direct attack on the Possum Every Hour accounts, the Red Panda Every Hour accounts, the every single frame of Goodfellas, every single frame of The Simpsons.
I have seen I've seen many. One Jim introduced me to, which annoys me. Now it's still nowhere near, but was it Jim from the Tess still dead?
Is Tess still dead? And he'll would post like every couple days, yes. And that's all the gimmick is. And I found it hilarious.
There's a lot of gimmick Twitter accounts out there for sure.
Yeah, and they're so, like, some of them are so much fun. But I mean, like, they blocked it. This actually has, like, affected, I think, a lot of Twitter users. And it's affected, like, me in pretty annoying ways. And in ways that I could not buy a blue check in order to fix it. Like,
yeah.
because of the cost of API access, this service I was using called Unfollow Monkey cannot access any of the information it needs in order to
Oh yeah.
tell you information. So it would send me DMs whenever somebody unfollows me, which that is not what I care about. What I care about is when people get suspended or when accounts get deleted. So I can find out, because people do that on Twitter all the time, where you could have like this like friendly mutual. I have somebody, like, she's been on my podcast. She came over to my house a couple times. She like took care of my dog and stuff. And like, I never got her phone number, and now she doesn't have a Twitter account. I don't have any way to reach her. And it's like, there were certain things like that where it's like, I wouldn't have known when her account got deleted if it wasn't for Unfollow Monkey, and now I can't use Unfollow Monkey to see what's going on with like, I mean, you know, it's I don't want to be overly dramatic about it, but it's like, you know, especially where I hang out on Twitter, there's a lot of people who are like, have crises and like get suicidal, and then they delete their accounts, and not being able to know if that happened and having to like remember everybody's username whenever they post like depressing stuff. It's like, that's concerning. Like, I considered Unfollow Monkey to be like a really helpful tool, and then it just had to be like, we can't do this anymore. We can't afford it. So sorry. And, you know, that's disconcerting. I don't think that Elon has any idea who uses his website or why they use it. And I think that he is behaving like someone who has no idea what he's doing.
And it's weird, too, because it's almost like, what was it going to be? Like an $8 billion hit if he backed out of the deal? And it seems like with how much he overpaid for it, it probably just would have been better and smarter financially for him to have just taken that hit and moved on. With like the thrashing all of his moves have done to just like Tesla stock and Twitter stock and all of that.
Is that all it was? It was $8 billion?
That's what I thought I heard. I could be wrong, but I forget.
Oh, I don't know. I have no clue. But he's lost like $70 billion, so it's insane just from the price of Tesla stock going down.
Yeah, and I can tell you firsthand from, because like, you know, when they're like, oh, you'll get post boosting, it's like, all right, try to go to show. I'll try it for a couple months. It didn't get any more reach than it ever fucking did. It was a goddamn waste. So it's just like, you know, when everything's starting with this, it's like, all right, I'll get rid of it. Like, I don't care. Like, I see a lot of people being like, oh, you know, the poors are mad and shit. It's like, you're not really going to be getting anything from it. Like, even the editing isn't even that convenient because it's very specific when you can do it.
Yeah, and it's the thing is that Elon has failed to understand the very basic part about Twitter, is that the reason people liked him on Twitter is because they were like, oh, a CEO's acting like one of us. But like, that's a gimmick. People are going to get tired of it. And the reason people pay attention to anything, the reason people pay attention to your guys' show, my account, anything on Twitter, is because they enjoy the content, they enjoy the people, the personalities and things. And that does not compute for Elon Musk. He does not understand, like, oh, if I give you access to their tweets, you will see their tweets more, which means you will like them better. And it's like, no, it doesn't. That's not how it works, Elon. If I see more of them and I didn't like them in the first place, I'm going to like them less. Like, how has nobody ever explained this to you before?
Or if I like them, but I see like them tweeting 10,000 times a day, like you're saying, if you have the API, like, I'm going to unfollow because I don't want to see that clog in my goddamn wall.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very tone-deaf thing. I don't know if he's going to course correct down the line, but I just look at this and I go, okay, if you have someone like Microsoft and maybe other companies, because one of the big hits I read from the other articles I pulled up was a lot of schools and colleges were basically posting a lot of like online curriculum things, and basically they're like, yeah, no teacher can afford doing this. Like, so
no, of course not. No.
So it's like you lose that piece of it. And I like how he, you know, we mentioned, he said, oh, lawsuit incoming to Microsoft. How he said, like, they were illegally training. So basically, I had to dig down into, he did reply to other people's comments on this. Like, what do you mean? He said, basically, Microsoft downloaded the data and information from how Twitter is run and utilize that to train their own folks. I don't know what that means.
Oh, and they're people for ChatGPT. That's what it was. It was like stuff to input for like artificial intelligence and mostly for like writing styles and writing contents as people just sort of naturally write in their own speaking voices. And it's like it's really funny that he would sue them over something that was free for the past like 12 years of the product. And like he's like, oh, we charge for that now. What could he even? It's like, what could he even ask? How much money could he even ask for? Is he going to sue Microsoft for like?
That's the interesting thing. Like, yeah, do you do it for the total value of Twitter at that point? Like,
yeah, or do you do it for the total value of GPT? Because either way, I think Microsoft can absorb the cost of either of those things, and I think that Microsoft could come out looking a lot less evil than they perhaps ever have in all of human history if they get sued by Twitter.
Well, they're currently trying to be sued by Sony and some of their affiliates because this purchase of Activision. So they're going to look like the people that can't stop getting sued soon if this comes through. But yeah, this is a goofy-ass thing. Here's the deal. Now, admittedly, Jim and I have been Xbox fans since the beginning. It's been our number one platform. Yes, we both have PS5s. Yes, we still enjoy Switches. But for playing with friends, we always use Xbox. I can promise you, I've never once shared anything from my Xbox to Twitter.
I didn't know you could do that. I mean, I
don't know how,
but I just never set it up. I do.
My
it from
guess
Switch
is
sometimes,
like you know how you do your like if you wanted to record a clip. I think like maybe I have seen videos that I just assumed were YouTube, but maybe they really were directly from PlayStation or Xbox. So I guess you'll see some of those go away, but is that a function that's like a live or die thing for Twitter? Like, was it driving so much traffic for Twitter that Elon would even worry?
No.
Exactly. So I'm like,
I mean, yeah, I used to share from my Xbox 360 to my Facebook account when I was like, that was like 10 years ago. I was like much younger, and even when I was doing that, like it was just for like 3 friends who all played Oblivion. It wasn't like it wasn't like a big thing. It was like guys who were still like these 2 guys I knew who were like, Skyrim's not better than Oblivion in like 2012. They were like, it will never be better than Oblivion, and it was just like I was still playing it, so I would post the screenshots for these 2 weirdos, and that's what I was doing.
Exactly. So now what you're doing is you're pushing any folks that would have done that. You'll push them to... I just naturally assume that if Xbox had that ability, then you can share to Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. So it's like you've just... Now they're going to share elsewhere. So I don't know. I've seen a lot of accounts also like pop up and be like, I think you should just give me my blue check mark without making me pay. And it seems like all of a sudden, a lot of random accounts are like, "Oh, I got my blue check mark." Now, granted, they tend to be celebrity. Like I think Stephen King was one of them.
Well, he didn't want it, but Elon gave him one out of spite.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm just using him as an example, but like,
yeah.
So it's like, yeah,
Elon's
the rules
paying
are
for him to
bent.
have it. Like, what the fuck?
It's just, yeah. You can't be a businessman and a troll at the same time. It doesn't work.
We learned today. I don't know if you've seen this late breaking news, Jim, but we learned today that that Elon, number 1, has an alt, and it has already been discovered, and number 2, it went from having like 1,500 followers to like 20,000 now. But he posted a screenshot of his little sidebar thing on the app, so it shows. What does it show on the side? Your profile, the option to buy Twitter Blue. But if you have Twitter Blue, it shows you the options of what tweets to edit, and it shows you how many subscribers you have. And he revealed that he has the equivalent subscribers of about $120,000 a month. So he is clearly reinvesting that money into keeping million-follower accounts have blue checks. That's why Stephen King, LeBron James, Drill, Cher, Halle Berry, a bunch of these people still have their blue check marks, and they were like, I don't want this, and I did not give you my phone number. And it's even more ghoulish because dead celebrities that would have never done this, like Norm Macdonald and people, also have their blue checks still.
No.
And
You did the fucking Norm?
Yes.
Oh, that's a fucking crime.
I hope Norm has a family that would deactivate it.
So if you change your display name, it will deactivate it. But Elon was manually putting some people's blue checks back on.
That
I can't imagine
it makes me laugh.
Being like the richest man on the planet, but it's so weird how that's still not enough. It's like, oh, I have all this money, but it'll be even better to be liked on Twitter. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
I mean, that should give us poors hope that even at the highest level, you get drilled down with petty shit. Like,
You're the same guy. You're the same guy.
You're the same-
The exact same guy.
no matter how much money you make, you know. Jim, what did how's the song go? Mo money, mo problems.
I think it is, Brian. I think you're right. Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird to see a guy like. It's almost like Vince McMahon. How like Vince makes a billion bad decisions, but this company still runs and is number one despite himself. Like, only thing Elon has going for him is Twitter's still better at doing what Twitter does than any other app. So it's the only reason it isn't falling on its face yet. But even then, you got to consider maybe eventually something's going to come up. But like, you'll see.
Did you try, Jim, any of the alts like Mastodon, Hive, any of those?
Yeah, well, I have a Hive account, I have a Minds account, and like no one uses them. Like you'll try them for like 2 days, or like everyone will rush to it, and then they crash because like the things can't handle it. So the second it crashes and it doesn't work, people go, oh well, fuck this, it doesn't work anyway, and then they go back to Twitter.
I think a strong contender to replace Twitter is Truth Social, and I've said this a couple times already. But I'm not trolling when I say this. I think Truth Social feels the most similar to Twitter. It has aped the Twitter thing way better. Mastodon, like the Mastodon thing where you have to have like 15 different names. It would be like whack.nicholson.1517, and it's like, what is this? And Hive sucked. Mastodon also sucked. It's like it's either Tumblr or Truth Social, and I do like Truth Social a lot.
It probably has the infrastructure for it too. Yeah, I actually tried the Fediverse shit like even before people were going to Mastodon, and I was like, this is just confusing. So when I saw everyone being
Mastodon
like, oh,
was
we're all
a
going to
shit
Mastodon now, I was like, no one's ever going to stay on there for more than 3 days.
No.
And my ass of not being the internet guy at all, I looked into Mastodon. I'm like, this is like Discord, but for coders. I'm like, this shit is way too confusing. The amount of servers and things you gotta look into. I'm like, no.
It sells itself right at the beginning as like you can like compound different images and change the fonts like this. I was like, the fuck.
You're like,
I have to like learn
that.
Python in order
Exactly.
to run this.
Yeah, you're like, make it user like. Fuck, man, if there's anything Apple taught us, it's like, just make it as simple and user-friendly as possible. Fuck.
Dude, I never even figured out how to change the background on my MySpace page. Like, the second I saw, like, Mastodon, I was like, nope, never happening.
But did you change your song? That's a real important thing, Jim.
Oh, right, the song got changed. All right?
You know what? That needs to be a thing that comes back. Somebody needs to revitalize. I mean, is MySpace even still active? I haven't checked it in 7
You can
years.
log in with your own account, but it's
Holy
just like
fuck.
for music, but you can take like a couple pictures off it if you still have it on there.
And most of them got nuked. I think they just saved like certain things. It's like they cleared a lot of that. Like a lot of that stuff's gone. But the site is still there, but it's basically billing itself as like a Spotify competitor.
Okay. Yeah, they need to bring that back. Bring
Whack, I
Tom
think
back.
I need to take your advice. I think it's time I set up a True Social account.
Yeah. I am a big proponent of Truth Social. The worst part about Truth Social is that it is it's not as easy as Parler was for getting verified on there. Where Parler would just be like, "Are you sure you're Mike Huckabee?" And I'm like, "Yeah, for sure. I am Mike Huckabee. Absolutely. I was born in Arkansas or something. Give it to me."
Social.
Yeah, we had I signed up for Parler too, and then like you think you use for 2 days, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. We're like
Parler always felt like an illegal knockoff. Like it was it felt like it had been designed on Squarespace, and it felt very like unsafe to be what it was.
And didn't it get hacked like a week later or something? Like everyone's data got out there.
Yeah, because in order to verify, at first it would ask for a picture of your driver's license, but you could just upload any picture and it would accept it. It was like totally insecure. So like Steven Crowder got doxxed or somebody, but like other less stupid people were like, yeah, that's me. I am Donald Trump Jr. Here is a picture that my child drew on my refrigerator. That's how you can tell it was me. And and it just worked.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's always fun when you try out the alternate platforms and you go to the front page and it's like, oh, why the Holocaust was a lie. Oops, well, not setting up an account here.
Yeah, don't put your information into those places. They get hacked, and they basically are malware to begin with.
Excuse me. Yeah. No,
Right.
but now we'll see if Microsoft comes back around or if Elon decides to pay for Microsoft as well. I'm curious. I think he's just talking shit when he says he's going to file a lawsuit. I don't think he'll actually go through with it.
No, for sure, no.
But we'll see what it comes from it. And I'm also curious, like, all right, let's just for argument's sake, say it is $42K a month. I don't see Nintendo or Sony ponying that up. Maybe they would.
No.
They
but,
still are, but for how long?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, especially Nintendo, they're so annoying with shit. It's like, there's no way they're going with that. But we'll see. I don't know. But
How this is a wild speculation. I would never say something so reckless on my own show. But how possible would it be for like a company like Sony to bank with an organization that like leverages against Elon's companies, so that if their loans they're taking out against Elon's value collapse, it will be because the thing they're investing in collapses? Is that possible, do we think?
I would say that's very possible.
Like if you could put it into like an index fund that is based, like a loan through an index fund that is based on all of Elon's companies, including Twitter, and if you're tying your inability to pay the loan to the company's failure, basically.
Actually, what do you call it? Like, what was it? Like a month ago, you guys had that episode about SVB and that whole quick little collapse. So
They were doing versions of that, yes.
Yeah, so just get all the hedge fund boys to panic with all of Elon's shit, and there you go.
Yeah. I could
But
absolutely
yeah,
see that.
worst case scenario is you pay Elon back with his own money.
Ooh. That's interesting. Yeah. I could see that. I could definitely see some
I'm no
companies do that.
accountant. I'm no accountant, but I have a creative writing degree, and I think we could probably cook up something pretty magical in those accounting books if they want to give me a call.
Well, we know we can't ask that fucking guy who won Gamepass for life because he would put a
No, don't ask
kibosh on
that.
that.
Yeah, it would just ruin it. But not just magical, but also extremely funny.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
But Whack, thank you so much for coming on, man. Once again, please
Hell
plug
yeah.
away everything.
Donate to my GoFundMe. I'm dying. No. I don't have a GoFundMe, but I do have Western Kabuki, and this is a internet and culture podcast starring myself, Juniper from Twitter, the Bird Respecter from Twitter, and Alex from Reply All as our producer, and we allow him to speak occasionally, and it's a good ass time. Like I said, we just did a 3-hour episode about the toxic family cultures, but behind that paywall, you're also going to find the ends of some of our like spicier conversations or Super Bowl predictions or things like that. And you know what? I'm going to say it on your show. I haven't even told my co-host this, but I'm gonna give the exclusive here right now.
Ooh.
We are in talks. We are currently in talks to do a second human pet guy interview with the Cybersmith. He and I have been talking a little bit, and he says he's down to come back on, and so that may be something that you could find at patreon.com/Western Kabuki if I can make it work with him. We kind of wanted to do a series, just for your audience who may not know who the human pet guy is. He is a legitimate maniac. He is a dangerously unwell mind who posts to Twitter a lot of really interesting thought experiments and hypotheticals and counterfactuals and things like, for example, if gay couples kissing in public is okay, then would it be okay to take a nude human on a leash into a Red Lobster because you call them your pet? Is that okay? Because maybe you morally disagree with it, but if all consenting parties are adults, then what's the difference? So yeah, he is a theocratic monarchist reactionary. That is how he describes his own political beliefs. And he believes that we should have a king of the world who is determined by a state of natural barbarism that he believes he would be most comfortable in as a computer programmer in the center of jolly old England. He thinks as in the mid-country of England, he thinks he would probably fare pretty well in a theocratic, monarchist, reactionary society. And he is also very much into the trans pornography, and he has a crinkling and diaper fetish that he is not shy about discussing either. And so he's a rock star, and we've already interviewed him once. Caleb interviewed him last time. I think I might do it next time. So we got big things cooking. We've got a few other big guests that we have basically ready to go that we've got coming up. People from very big podcasts you've heard of. We've already had like Alejandra Carballo. She's a Harvard attorney, a human rights attorney. We had Micah Herskin, who is doing like Cop City protests in Atlanta. We had Ben Collins from NBC News. A lot of really great guests. A lot of really great people have been on there. So please do check it out. We're growing very quickly, and it's giving us the opportunities to meet some really interesting people.
No, it's awesome, man. It sounds like if you do that human pet, you're going to need a lot of beer.
Yeah, we'll see. He's the last time it was so awesome. I've already told him I don't want to do a debate like they did last time. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna fucking argue with you. So don't come in and start being like, what is the difference between trans pornography and child pornography? Truly, it's like, okay, man. I can't.
Yeah, you know what? You sit back with some drinks, ask one question, let him go.
Yeah, that's what he needs. Somebody to listen.
No, that
sounds
awesome.
awesome. I can't wait for that. And I am actually a fan of Western Kabuki. I listen every week, so it's definitely a show worth checking out.
Man.
Comes highly recommended. And you actually, especially for someone like Brian who doesn't know anything about the internet, even I've learned some stuff.
No,
I think I spend too much goddamn time on Twitter as is, and even I'm like, all right, what is this that's going on?
Well, as soon as I researched, especially in her Twitter, to talk about things going on in the internet, so I started researching it, and I'm like, oh, this is definitely something I need, just because I don't know half the shit. And I asked Jim, and I get a very half-assed answer all the time. So, yeah.
Well, if you want to know what gooning is, what VTubers are, or who Sneeko is, I have some auxiliary PowerPoints that I included with those episodes that you can check out as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, two of those things I've learned recently, so I'll say that.
Bri, stop gooning.
That's not one of them, Jim. I don't know what gooning is, God damn it. Now
you don't know it, you just live it. You'll find out.
No, but Whack, we truly appreciate you coming on.
Hell yeah, man.
It was a great time, and please make sure, check the links below, follow them on all social media platforms, and with that, if you have listened to us the whole time, please make sure on Spotify or iTunes, you give us a subscription. If you give us a 5-star rating, even if you want to bash us in the comments, we will read it on each and every one of these Power Hour podcasts. And if you've listened and watched this song on YouTube, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks again.